Hello everyone, welcome back to day 25 of Inktober 2020. My name is Chris and today's prompt is Buddy. Now I don't know why it took me so long to make a drawing of my original character. This character here is Natu from the comic that I'm currently working on. This is sort of my passion project comic, and I've been very careful not to reveal a lot of information about the story or a lot about the motivations of these characters. Now I wanted to make this character dressed up as some sort of horror villain or character in a horror movie. And I don't know if this is considered a horror or scary movie. I think it's more of a thriller, detective. It's Hannibal, or Silence of the Lambs. And here we have Dr. Hannibal Lecter, or his costume at least. So you know what, I'm going to reveal a little bit more about the story that I'm working on. I've spoken about it here and there on different platforms, but let's actually have it here on record on YouTube. So the working title for my comic is Lame Vision, which is the name that I decided to go with for my new social media. Where the name Lame Vision comes from is because it stems of the original idea that in this world there are going to be people with superpowers or abilities, but they're all going to be lame. They're all going to be very shitty versions of actual strong superpowers. Whereas one person can turn invisible in a lot of these Marvel and DC universes, someone from my universe would have a huge downside. For example, they turn invisible when nobody's looking at them. And it's like, that's less useful, because if somebody is looking in your general direction or is within your line of sight, you will become visible in front of them. So that seems pretty useless, right? But these characters learn to overcome these weaknesses through trial and error, through experiences, and working on their strengths instead. So I didn't know how I wanted to give the explanation of why these people have powers. And that's when my story started to shift a little bit more, and I came up with this concept of coins. These coins, these wishing coins, work in conjunction with wishing wells, this giving you an ability. And it being a coin actually gives you two abilities, both very similar and correspondent to one another. I won't get into how the coins work necessarily, how you would use them, but they do grant your wish. They do grant you an ability depending on what kind of coin you have. And I think this has a lot of potential, because not only can I use coins as a basis of an item to give you powers, but the coins themselves have a lot of freedom in terms of what they can look like. You know, you can carve all sorts of awesome designs on them, and I really like that. It gives some uniqueness, and I always wanted to make an almanac of some kind that displays all the types of coins and descriptions of what they do. And they're all meant to be these sort of ancient coins, left behind by, who knows, some ancient civilization that has yet to be explained. Now, this story does play off a lot of the tropes that shonen main characters go through. Now, obviously, I don't want to fully copy any of that, and it's going to have differences that may or may not work out. You know, a lot of times as a creator, you don't see certain flaws in your own work. But as a viewer, when you're watching something or reading something, a lot of these flaws come to fruition. And as someone who is inspired by certain types of art and literature, you want to try to overcome that. And that's what I'm trying to do. Obviously, I don't have as much experience, so chances are my first book is not going to be that great. And that's okay. I don't want it to. It doesn't have to be. This isn't going to be my end-all be-all. This is just another step into the next book. Am I going to continue this story? I'm not sure. Maybe. Possibly. I think I have a lot to tell. I have quite the story built up, but I didn't want to sit there and create this huge universe. There's a lot of people who sit there and every single day they're just adding more info and info and info to their universe, while that can be good to plan, if you don't begin to tell the story, then your world isn't going to seem as intriguing until it's experienced. And the only way we can experience it is by reading or watching, or actually being in that world, following someone through that world. So although things may seem perfect when you have all the building blocks, until you build that tower and see how it functions, you don't know how far it's going to go, how effective it's going to be. That's why for this story, I now just want to get to the point where I want to tell the narrative that I originally had planned. I don't want to explain too much through dialogue. I just kind of want to show and imply what the world is about, what certain characters are about. I don't want to have all this monologuing of, in this universe, there are 35 key wielders and 30 gods came down onto the land and spread their gifts to the single people. Like, if you just keep that going, it seems less interesting. Sometimes you do have to put your foot in your mouth and take that shot, but it seems less interesting than if you just start the story right away and eventually you get clues of, oh man, there's these gods. What do these statues mean? Something about keys and fruit. Oh, what does this mean? And it starts to develop. And you put it together. You just have to piece it together. Nobody has to tell you. Again, and I always say this, you can't assume that the reader is stupid. We're all human beings. Yes, some of us are different ages and experience different things. Some of us are smarter than others. But in the end, you just got to try your best. There's no point in trying if you don't believe in yourself. And that's a quote from Guy Sensei. Alright everyone, that's the end of the video. I hope you all enjoyed this drawing. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Check out the rest of the Inktober playlist. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter. And I'll see you all on day 26. Have a great rest of your day.